everyone. Welcome to the session. My name is Aisha. I'm a marketing effectiveness manager at Verizon in the US. We're excited to welcome you all to the session about optimizing marketing mix modeling project deliveries. And for years, a common ask that a lot of us have seen from clients and stakeholders is understanding how to get marketing mix insights and recommendations on a faster turnaround, given internal pressures we might see, wanting to make agile decisions, and a need to react and update marketing strategies more frequently. In recent times, we've seen that these asks have only gotten more common given uncertainty around COVID-related impacts, changing technologies, and other external factors that are really impacting the way that marketers are making decisions. A standard marketing mix delivery can take anywhere from 12 to 16 weeks or more, depending on the complexity and scope, but these turnaround times can make it difficult for marketers to react to any fast-changing circumstances or needs. However, on the other side, speeding up the process can be very challenging to teams given all the nuance that goes into a marketing mix analysis, from data collection, cleansing and validation, to modeling and insight generation. There are challenges at each phase that need to be innovatively addressed to ultimately be able to streamline these processes. Our speaker today is going to dive deeper into 5 key recommendations that can be used to optimize marketing mix modeling project delivery by outlining a framework that can be used for faster and more robust measurement. Before we begin, a quick reminder that following this presentation, there will be a Q&A session, so please feel free to drop your questions for the speaker in the chat box throughout the presentation, or virtually raise your hand on Zoom during the Q&A portion. Without further ado, please welcome our speaker, Firas, Chief Technology Officer at Mass Analytics in the UK.
So, hi everyone. I'm Firas Jabloun. I am the CTO at Mass Analytics, and today I'll be talking about 5 recommendations to optimize your marketing mix modeling project delivery. The reason this is important is that marketing effectiveness measurement is facing some serious challenges today. In particular, privacy regulations are leading us to a new cookieless era with limited user-level data, if any at all. In addition, the consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic leading us to observe fast-changing consumer behavior and unpredictable business environments, resulting in a shift in market dynamics. This is expected to remain for the foreseeable future, at least. For this reason, advertisers need to assess and update their marketing strategies quickly and more often. To this end, we are proposing a new, efficient, future-proof measurement framework, which does not break the bank based on a new MMM paradigm. MMM actually lends itself very well to be the perfect solution to meet these objectives, as long as it is not done in the classical way. So we've been working on this methodology for about 2 years now, helping our customers adopt this new approach, customers from different verticals and industries. But for the sake of this presentation, we're presenting this approach from the perspective of one client, which is a global CPG brand with a complex project scope. They operate in different countries all over the world. They have multiple products and multiple product categories, and they use various sales channels. Their objective is to be able to create models for all these KPIs and to refresh those models frequently. To meet these objectives, the first recommendation we have for this new MMM framework is to streamline data preparation. So we equipped our client with the necessary tools to create pipelines capable of handling large data sets from different data sources and with different data formats. This in particular pays off during model updates. We simply need to run these pre-built pipelines automatically with little human intervention. In addition, when we want to generalize this concept to other markets or other products, all we need to do is to quickly adjust the pipelines to cover potentially new data formats. These pipelines can save up to 30% of the total project timeline, especially during model updates. And also it allows to allows us to be more immune to otherwise quite frequent human errors when it comes to data preparation. The second recommendation we have is around data processing. So as you know, in marketing mix modeling, we need to create processed variables to reflect real consumer behavior. In the new MMM paradigm, this step also has to be automated. So the way we do it, we classify variables into predefined homogeneous groups, and then we define the kind of processing needed for every group. So what kind of ad stock, diminishing returns, what parameters for this group or the other, and so on and so forth. Then with the click of a button, we can automatically create thousands of processed variables. With this large number of processed variables, manual modeling is no longer an option. So we need to leverage artificial intelligence in order to accelerate this modeling phase. So for example, for feature selection, we can use genetic algorithms, random forests, etc. And at mass analytics, we actually use a combination of a few techniques in order to get the best results. This allows us to test, automatically test millions of combinations to identify and select the best model. By best, we mean that it should have a commercially viable and sound story behind it, and it also has to be statistically viable in a way that it should respect goodness of fit statistical metrics like t-stats, cross-validation metrics, etc. This is critical, especially when it comes to model prediction capabilities and the stability of those models from one update to the next. The fourth recommendation that we have is about optimization and creating insights. A common mistake is to leave optimization till the end. Please do not do that, because you risk to end up with wrong response curves for the unobserved budget ranges. And this will lead to unrealistic and actionable insights and recommendations. So instead, it's better to incorporate optimization as part of an agile iterative approach, allowing to instantly check the commercial viability of the produced insights and to fine-tune those models accordingly if necessary. Finally, it is important to quickly deploy the results as soon as they are ready. Again, to do that, we need to leverage technology to eliminate any end of project bottlenecks in order to automate the reporting phase as well. This will allow to populate predefined dashboards dynamically as the models get updated, including any possible last-minute changes to the model. So to summarize, this new MMM framework allows us to shorten the project delivery time, especially for updates. It is cost-effective, allowing to model more SKUs and KPIs more frequently without any compromise on quality, and it is future-proof because it does not rely on user-level data, and it is intrinsically fully compliant with data protection and privacy laws. So as takeaways, we are living in a new era full of unknowns and with a new normal. So for this reason, MMM needs to be agile, allowing for frequent model updates. To achieve that, we need to leverage cutting-edge technology and advanced analytics in order to gradually adopt fully automation with predefined, repeatable, reliable processes. The objective here is to establish a near real-time MMM framework, and that's the future of MMM. Thank you very much for your attention.
Wonderful. Thanks so much. That was super insightful. We have a question here in the chat that we'd like to ask you next as part of our Q&A. So a question here is, how do you deal with the inherent endogeneity in many online metrics? Because machine learning, et cetera, don't tend to deal with this.
Yeah, so in our tool, what we use is we use the metric of width. variance inflation factor to get rid of any potential collinearity between the models. But in addition to that, there are also other techniques available in data analytics, like using rich regression or lasso regression, that are more capable capable to deal with the collinearity and inherent endogeneity between the variables.
That's okay. That's collinearity. That's not endogeneity.
Excuse me?
That deals with the collinearity, but doesn't deal with endogeneity, which is a classic problem in all these models. You know, how can we tell these things are typically causal? That's the problem. Yeah, so the solution for that we have available is to use nested modeling. So what we do is we create a model for the endogenous variable, and then we nest it in the main model. And that way we are able to measure at the same time. So to deal with that problem and also to measure the direct and indirect impact of various media channels. Sure, well that deals with kind of underlying indirect equation, but that doesn't deal with the simultaneity and the coefficient itself. So it's a common misconception I find in a lot of these models where people run submodels, which is fine, because you're arguing that things like branded search and sales are co-determined by TV, but that doesn't tell you anything about the simultaneity. The problem is the coefficients you're getting on search and all these other stuff in the main equation. Those are typically inherently biased. So there always has to be some kind of network or some kind of IV estimation to deal with that. So you mean, for example, to use Bayesian networks to deal with that? Is that potentially? I mean, but it's all about trying to understand the simultaneity problem, which essentially is indicative of underlying competing DAGs you're not taking account of. It's a common problem, I think, and typically people talk about recursive systems in terms of sub-equations, but that doesn't really deal with the problem. You may get some reattribution away from search to TV again, but ultimately it's the coefficient you're seeing in the main equation. So call it web traffic, call it search, call it programmatic display, whatever. That coefficient itself is going to be inherently biased because of the whole endogeneity problem. And it's a problem I see a lot. And people are talking about machine learning now, but the problem, of course, is that it doesn't tell you anything about endogeneity. It's just correlations.
Apologies. Can I just ask Peter? Please put on your webcam. So anybody asking a question, please put on your webcam so we can place you actually into the screen so you can have a discussion and people.
Yeah, sure. Sorry, this is not working. Let me put an external one on. Hang on.
Anyway, maybe we can move on to the next question, Aisha.
Sure. We do have another question here in the chat. So what importance do you see for ML ops in MMM? For instance, addressing models obsolescence really early and automatically. Any thoughts there?
The last part of the question, addressing what early?
Addressing, I think it's like the models going obsolete early and automatically.
So there is a trend today to start to use machine learning techniques more and more in MMM. For example, one thing that we are applying at Mass Analytics is to which is a way to cope with this new cookieless world, is to use segmentation clustering to cluster clients and then create models for a particular cluster instead of a model for the whole population. So from the initial experiments we did experimentation we did with this, we are seeing very interesting results where we are able to distinguish the impact of different media channels per segment, and then that allows the advertiser to create marketing strategies targeted for a particular segment. And the other way, the other use of machine learning in MMM is in the machine learning, in automatic modeling, as I discussed. So, for example, to use random forests, that's a very promising technique to improve the performance of auto models.
Thank you. Yes, my question is slightly, I mean, thanks that addresses some parts of the question, but I was also interested in whenever you have a model in place, over time it can deteriorate. And apologies for the background noise. So my question is more about how to detect early, for instance, when COVID happens, that maybe some spend or some variables start to be relevant more than they used to, and then the predictions may be biased either way. And so usually you have to realize that and retrain. and understand how to adapt your model to new circumstances. And my question was more around like those kind of techniques from MLOps, which helps to automatically detect when your model starts to underperform. Do you think that it might play a role in the near future, or is it still a bit far away from where we are right now?
So the impact that we saw as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic is that models need to be updated quite frequently. So that's the main impact, because it was a huge shift in the market dynamics, and existing so the data from previous years was not as relevant as it used to be before. So what we need to do then is to be able to run these models quite frequently. So that's let's say the most important change that we need to start to see in the future to cope with changes like that in the future. So the reason so that's why running these models frequently is the solution that we see so far for this.
That's very clear. Yeah, I guess it's a problem we have in different areas of marketing analytics, and definitely I think for analysts it's super relevant to really frequently be able to readjust the factors. It's been interesting for speaking.
All right, great. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you so much, Firas, for joining us and providing that great insight today. To continue the conversation, please do join us for the Meet the Speaker session towards the end as well. So back to our host.